Tempting Fate by Blaney. Each morning this week, about 10:30, a woman has phoned and asked to speak to my wife. I tell her my wife is at work. Would she care to leave a message? But she never would care. This woman, who sounds like a different woman each morning. Or does she disguise her voice? Just a courtesy call, she tells me as I'm setting the receiver back in its cradle. So this morning, when she called, I told her instead that my wife is dead. It was the woman's turn to put the phone down on me. I rolled over in my bed and tried to go back to what I'd been doing, which was nothing much at all. Presently, however, it occurred to me that I'd better give my wife a call to make sure, just to be on the safe side, as they say. But then I corrected myself. That thought of mine was pure superstition. Only there it still was, just the same. You ought not to say that. A voice, or an echo of a voice, the way voices sound in your head rather than in your ear. The voice, it now struck me, of my mother, who is actually dead. Died in a bathtub. I'm not sure I ever asked her why not, but I'm pretty sure she would have told me. Tempting fate. My wife picked up on the very first ring. Is there something wrong? She asked. Are you okay? And I said, no, and yes. There was a pause. And I thought of telling her about the women, all women, who kept calling for her, and about what I'd said. But I decided it would more than likely come out wrong. So I told her I loved her. And she sounded both pleased and distracted. My wife has one of those very demanding jobs. Following this call, I thought for a longish while about fate. And why I'm so tempted to tempt it these days. My conclusion was this. Because I want to see if there really is some connection, some casual link between words and events. And I wish there were, but I no longer believe, if I ever did, that there is. So, it's my sense of frustration. Or perhaps I should really say, it's my anger that impels me to keep tempting fate. Because wouldn't it be something if nothing bad ever happened so long as we watched our words and minded our tongues? Wouldn't it be something to live in a world where your mother never died? Or your son never got hurt? Knocked off a bike and killed. Just so long as you didn't tell someone he had been. Or for that matter, in a world where saying he was alive and well, probably in maths class right about now, would make it so. I never told anyone my son was dead, or my mother either. In one case it was my wife, and the other a tall policewoman who told me that. The postman's just delivered, which means it's already afternoon. What I'm wondering now is, will that woman call back tomorrow? And I think she might well do. She might want to say sorry for having hung up before. It's entirely possible. And I rather hope she will. I want her to call back, because I have more than I'm anxious to tell her. Will I say I'm sorry that I lied yesterday? My wife's not dead. No, not that. I'll say I've come back from the funeral. And she'll make a shocked, sympathetic noise. Oh! And say, that's terrible. But I'll tell her, people die. All the time. And there's nothing on earth you can do to stop it. There's no such thing as fate, I'll tell her. Or if there is, it's nothing that can be tempted or appeased. Saying or even thinking things doesn't make them happen, and it doesn't make them not happen either. So go ahead if you think it'll make you feel better. Say your prayers. Tell those you love to take care. But don't kid yourself. Because there's nothing that you can think or that you can say that will keep them safe from harm. That's what I'd like to tell her. Although, probably, she would have hung up by the time I was halfway done.